All right.
Awesome, guys. We're back to another episode of Making Action the Greatest Habit, the book and now podcast. This is a
Awesome.
lot of fun. Yeah, I'm excited to have you on, Lucas. I know Vinny and some other guys were talking about you. We had your preview episode and it was so good. We actually had to have you back. So, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. Good. Thank you for having me back. It was awesome the first time, even though I guess the sound quality was not that great. So we're gonna improve that this time.
Yeah, that's why we're here. That's why we're here. That's super cool, man. So I think what would be great is I know you have so much experience and knowledge and history and all these different things, but I think what would be cool is to go back to when you first got started with going in certain directions. Like, how did you know what you wanted to go to school for? Or was that something that you kind of knew in advance?
I mean, when I was in high school, I mean, I was always doing advanced math and engineer. Well, not engineering at the time, but it was like physics, science, stuff like that. And those are the things that I really enjoyed and doing. I mean, I was taking calculus my senior year of high school.
Wow.
Um, and so, what actually heavily influenced where I started out in life was my desire to join the military.
Hmm.
And so because I felt an obligation to give back to the country that I was just born
Mm.
into, even though I didn't have a choice of where I was born. I was happened to be born here, and so I wanted to kind of give back and join the military. And in doing that, I was brought into the nuclear program. So I went out and I took my ASVAB and I scored a 98 out of 99 on the ASVAB. And then they're like, "Hey, you did so well in this test over here, that we want you to take the second test over here." And I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." It was a math trig test, and I was like, "Okay, this is good." And I scored, I think it was like a 90% on that test. And they were like, "Wow, you really got really good numbers." And they're like, well, and I was like, "Well, what does that mean?" They were like, "Well, that means you can be the top 1% of 1% of the Navy and become a nuclear engineer." And I was like, "Oh, I like the sound of that." Um,
I like the
so
sound of
they,
that.
so they were definitely, and my cousin had gone into the military and the nuclear program 2 years prior, so I knew that you get to skip E1, E2, and directly go in as E3, and then as soon as you finish your boot camp, you go to E4.
Wow.
Um, and so like I was like, well, that sounds like my kind of program. So I did that. Lo and behold, I didn't realize how much work they do. The nuclear engineers are first ones on the ship and the last ones to leave, and they have some of the worst shore duty.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah. So I mean, you kind of got to be on the ship all the time because there's a nuclear reactor on there.
Mm,
So yeah,
kind of
they
important.
kind of want you to watch that all the time. Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, it's so weird, right? I mean, everybody
Wow.
loves nuclear meltdowns.
It's my favorite topic, actually. So
Yeah.
speaking of nuclear meltdowns, no, I'm just kidding. For anyone who doesn't know what I think you said it was A1, A2, E3,
E
E1, E2,
E1,
E3.
E2, and E3. So enlisted ranks, enlisted one, enlisted two, enlisted three,
Mhm.
and so those are all depending on what classification you have. That's your pay grade. And then once you move up to E4, then you become a petty officer in the Navy. And that means you have a bit more responsibility, and you have to do less of the crappy duty on the ship. So everybody that goes, every nuclear engineer that goes into the Navy, once they make it to a ship, they're automatically E4s. And so a lot of times they don't have to participate in like helping out in the kitchens or helping out in stores or things like that because they've already advanced past that pay
Mm.
grade that would require them to do that. So
Wow, wow, wow. That's cool, man. Thank you for sharing the in-depthness on that.
yeah, no problem.
Cool. So, like, did you know? Because, like, you've talked about you scored really well and you just did they just place you or did you kind of decide to do nuclear engineering?
So they gave me the option. They said I could be I think it's an AT, an avionics technician, or AET, avionics electronics technician,
Yeah.
which was working with kind of computers and landing gear and navigation systems on the planes. And then they offered me the nuclear side of things. So I was like, sounds good. And so my scores were high enough, and that they let me become an electronics technician. So. And that's kind of what's really shaped my path in life is
Hmm.
becoming an electronics technician in the Navy, and then I discovered the whole world of the electrical engineering, and then when I got out, I didn't follow that path immediately. I just knew I didn't want to be a nuclear engineer anymore, and I didn't want to do shift work. And so yeah, I went a complete different path. And I went into body piercing, and I was in a business on my own with my best friend at the time. He was a tattoo artist and a body piercer, and so like I took over his body piercing shop, and while he was tattooing, and so I did that for 3 years or so.
Cool.
But in between, I sold children's shoes for a little bit. I sold cars for a little bit.
Mhm.
And then I lost my job in 2008. I was working at Lexus, and it was like December 28th of 2008, right after Christmas, and they laid me off. And I'm just like, okay, this sucks. It's like I've got no skills. There's no jobs available, right? Because I mean that was 2009, so everybody had no, there was no jobs available. So you had a job, like you held on to it, right? Um, and so that I was out of work for 8 months during that time. And that I had a brand new family, my wife and my son, and we had no income coming in. So that was interesting. So we had to go around to different places to see if we could get charity to help out with bills, and pay who we had to pay, and anybody else that we couldn't pay, we just didn't pay. And so until the end of or the beginning of the middle of summer in 2009, they did cash for clunkers with Obama's act. So if you had a vehicle that was a six-cylinder or bigger past a certain age, and you could turn it in, you got an extra, I think it was $4,500 towards the purchase of your next vehicle. And so I went back and sold cars for 2 months while that was going on, and made some good money. And we caught up on all of our bills and all that kind of stuff, and didn't get kicked out of our apartment, which is the main focus is how do we stay with a roof over our head and all that. So that taught me a lesson, a big lesson. Like I need to have skills, right? And I had skills when I was in the Navy, but I left all those skills behind in preference to become in sales. But then I got tired of sales, so then I did get a job working as an air compressor technician at Atlas Copco shortly after that, and got out of sales completely, and then went back and got my bachelor's degree while working full time. So.
Nice. And so I'm trying to remember because I think that you said you only had to take like one class or something like that, right?
Oh, for my bachelor's program, I was doing 3 classes a week.
Oh, wow. Okay, while
Yeah,
working
so
full time.
so yeah, I had a new child at that point in time too. So I had 2 kids at that time, and then I was working full time, plus extra hours because we were called out for emergencies all the time. And I was doing 3 classes a week at ITT Technical Institute. So yeah, that was a tough stretch of road there. I was much younger though, so sleep wasn't as important.
Oh my gosh. I can only imagine what that must have felt like. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. And so during the 2008 recession, you only had the 8 months and then you were able to go back to work essentially.
Yeah, so I didn't go back into the car business right away because I mean everybody was struggling anyways. I mean, what was I going to do? Just sit there and so I tried a few different things. I worked for cash for different people doing odds and end jobs. I tried my hand at selling siding and windows for K designers. That sucked. That was just me driving a lot of places to talk to people that didn't really want to buy what I was selling. And yeah, that was a traveling salesperson job for somebody that they're where they're not prepared for you to actually come in there and sell you stuff. Like that kind of sucked a lot. But I
Mm,
didn't do
sure.
that for very long. Didn't make any money with it. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
but
Hmm.
yeah, it was a lot of trials and tribulations and trying to apply for multiple different jobs at the time. We had unemployment coming in. But yeah, I mean there was only so much of that for so long before they stopped doing that. So
Wow. Okay. Okay. And then how many kids did you end up having? Because I think you said three previously, yeah?
4 total
Four
kids.
children.
Yes.
Happy
So
dad.
yeah. So after getting done with my bachelor's or my associate's degree, I got hired on at Microsoft as a vendor. And so then I finished up my bachelor's degree while at Microsoft as a vendor. We had our third child shortly after I was hired on full time with Microsoft, and then our fourth one came a few years after that. So
Hmm. Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
I like that, man. Wow. Wow. How does it feel to be a dad of of four kids, I mean?
Oh, it's busy. It's for sure busy. I mean, my oldest is 21 and my youngest is 5 now, so
Wow.
quite the spread on the kids.
Hmm.
And then I
Hmm.
also take care of my niece as well on top of that. And we also have my mother-in-law living with me right now.
Oh,
So yeah, we have a very full house.
that's awesome. That's awesome, man. And so are you, I know at some point you transitioned into real estate and starting to like purchase and do deals and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, how quickly did that happen after you finished your bachelor's degree?
My bachelor's degree, it wasn't so after my bachelor's degree, I was at Microsoft, right?
Yep.
And so the catalyst that really got me into the real estate section was actually losing my job at Microsoft. So in 2022, when the interest rates started spiking, then Microsoft had made huge cutbacks. And so I was part of the first round of layoffs that happened there. And I was fortunate. I found a job almost immediately. I mean, I was only out of work for 1 week total
Wow.
before starting my next position, which was a huge improvement from the last time.
Right. Eight
Um,
months. Yeah.
but then I was left there going, I've left this job, or I was asked to leave this job. I've got this new job, and the pay is similar, but I don't have any more bonuses and I don't have any more stock awards, and so we're getting less money. And so I was like, well, what do I do now to try and fix that, right? What was I missing? And so that's really what started me on this journey to try and find, well, what else can we do out there? What other income can we bring in? And that's really where I found the real estate stuff. And that was just because I found the article with Grant Cardone. It
Mm.
was the summer of 2024. Yeah, summer of 24. I found an article from that was out there floating around. The Grant Cardone says that you need to make at least $400,000 a year if you're trying to support a family, right? And I'm just like, what? How is that? Like, who's making $400,000 a year, right? I know lots of people that make less than that and they support a family.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I started reading the article, and he was for sure, like he said, you're doing your family wrong if you're making less than $400,000 a year. And I was like, well, that's a very bold statement, sir. Like, what does that
Yeah.
what does that mean for me? That's where I'm not making that kind of money.
Right.
And so I went out and started looking at all of his information. At first, I ran into all of his sales materials, which is what he built a lot of his business off of, is his sales and training and stuff like that, right?
Hmm.
And then I ran into the fact that he was under the undercover billionaire shows that he did with I think it was PBS or something like one of those stations, anyways. And got looked at a little bit further, and that's when I started finding his real estate stuff. And then once I started finding his real estate stuff, I was like, oh, well, this makes sense. I
Hmm.
was like, I can get behind this. And before that, we were just trying to figure out, okay, well, can we buy a business? Can we buy like a coffee shop, or can we get like a car wash station, or what about a laundromat or something like that? Some type of other business that we could purchase or jump into. We were just having a hard time trying to find stuff like that. And so then when I found this, that was like everything started clicking. I was like, wait a second, this is great not only for taxes, but also for being able to generate income and having a true passive income, right? Because the way that he does it is not where you're the manager, right? You're not managing one property, two properties, three properties, or something like that. You're managing a much larger complex, anywhere from like
Mm.
15 units all the way up to he's got units like 600 units and on that he's
Wow.
doing. Now that's way too big for me, um, but like that 15 to 100 units range is absolutely ideal for being able to put in a management team that's going to manage all your tenants and take care of all those things for you. And then you just check in with your management team to make sure that like they've got expenses under control, see what the schedule is for being able to increase rents or whatever what other income there may be coming in from the units. And the
Mhm.
whole idea is to try and keep the expenses low and keep up with the pace of inflation with your operating income, right?
Mm.
And so that's the whole thing there is, and then a lot of these places when you jump into them, you're looking for something that where the value of the property or the rents are much lower than what they should be, right? If you find a great unit mix, like for example, the I'm working on a 15 unit deal right now where we have two bedrooms, one bathroom with a garage and a backyard,
Mhm.
right? and it's a set of duplexes, right? And so like this is a highly sought after unit mix, especially right near the schools that are right there. So it's great for
Mm,
families and things like that. And it's also within close proximity of Seattle and Renton and Redmond, and all that. So you can make that drive and you can do that commute if you needed to, and still have your kids close enough to be able to walk to school, right? And
nice.
so when we seen that, we were like, oh well, this definitely could rent for more than what it is, especially
Mm,
given it was in good condition and we keep up and maybe make a few adjustments along the way. This is a great investment. And so that's kind of what we were looking at. And that's kind of what Grant also talks about is making sure you find something where it's in a great location
mhm,
and there is the possibility to try and increase things, right?
mm.
And then if you're in a great location, then everything else just kind of fills out.
I get you. Location's a pretty
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah. And he's also about cash flow. Right. So it's
Yeah,
got a
he
cash
totally
flow,
is.
right? It's got a cash flow. If you're running your numbers and at the purchase price that they want you to purchase at, you can't make any cash and you can't start out with cash flow, then it's a non-deal for him. Um,
Mm,
and there are some deals out there that it makes sense to have zero cash flow, but those are very risky investments, right?
oh,
And so
really?
but for him, that he never touches deals like that. He won't do anything that doesn't cash flow.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, like there was something that I saw of his that read something along the lines of like he somehow placed all of the money that was for his family into real estate. Do you know more about that? Because I know that's like kind of an interesting topic all by itself.
I don't know if I know exactly what you're referencing. I do know that
Okay.
like he talked his sister and his brothers into investing with him.
Oh, really?
Right.
Cool.
Yeah. And so that was in his first few transactions. He talks about this openly and in his books as well, where his sister invested with him, and she's since doubled, tripled, quadrupled her
Of
money.
course.
But I
Of
mean,
course.
it's investing with grants. So I mean, that's
It's pretty
and if
safe to
you're in
bet.
the and I mean it's yeah I mean he's been doing this for 30 some years now, right? And so I
Yeah.
mean if you were in some of those early deals like she was, I mean you can't help but double, triple, and quadruple your money. I mean even the deals that I'm looking at right now, people are going to at least double their money within a 7 to 10 year period on all the stuff that I've got going on, and possibly even better. Right.
Wow.
And so that's one of the things that's nice about these deals is when you find these deals and they cash flow,
Mhm.
you're looking at it anywhere between doubling to tripling your money. At least that's the projection. That's what you want to do within 5 to 10 years, right? And you don't want to limit yourself to a specific year because who knows what's going to happen, right? And that's why cash flowing is super important. There's got to be cash flow coming out of the properties because cash fixes everything. When things go wrong, as long as there's cash flow coming in, then you can weather just about any storm, right? Um, and if there's inflation hitting, well, then that means that the rents have to go up anyways, right? And so that means that your income's going to increase as well.
Hmm.
If you're in a recession, people have to have a place to live, right? And people will always have a place to live. They'll give up their storage unit. They'll give up their pets, and well, some people give up pets. Some people will not.
It's true.
But they'll pay more for a pet living with them
Yep.
than they would instead of giving up a pet, right? And so these this is a recession and inflation proof investment, right? And if you're not over leveraging yourself with the units, then you've got a great asset that can provide income no matter what. So
Wow, man. I like that. I like that. And so how long did you spend like looking into real estate before you started to make some of those bigger financial investments?
Oh, I've been doing this now and kind of educating myself for well over a year now, right? And so this has been kind of something that I've been doing nonstop. So I have an hour drive up to work and I have an hour drive home from work as an electrical engineer working for Amatech. And so
Right
like
now?
I play yeah, right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I work full time. I'm an electrical engineer by trade full time. And so when I'm driving up there and I'm driving back, I'm always listening to something educational, right? I'm always listening to something that's going to try and help me improve and do better, right? And then at night, and in the mornings, I get up a little bit earlier, and at nights I stay up a little bit later to where I can go through and look for different deals
Mm.
During the day, I'll take a 10 to 15 minutes here and there to call a broker or two to ask about a deal. And so, I mean, that's that. It's just kind of getting in the whatever activity that I can at the time, in whenever I can, right? And so that's really what I've been doing. So.
Wow, I respect that, man. I respect it. Good for you. Good for you. I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed. Like, what advice would you give to somebody who would be considering getting into real estate, or if they were looking at doing something financially, like what would you say to them?
Well, everything is so unique to whatever a person is doing, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're sitting around and you've got no job, then obviously real estate's probably not the best avenue, right? You should probably be looking at trying to get a job first, right? Get some stability under your feet. Once you have a job and then at that point now you want to try and augment your income, right? And so augmenting income could be anything from wholesaling, or flipping. Doing wholesales is actually a great activity, in real estate, especially if you've got nothing going on and you don't have a whole lot. Then you can use wholesaling to find, properties that are either in distress where the owners need capital. And that could be either, in foreclosures, that could be, in just driving around your neighborhoods and finding houses that look like they're not being well kept up. Maybe somebody's ran into an issue or problem that they need help solving, and you can go into those properties and you can offer to buy them, and then do, comps in the areas to make sure that you know what an after repair value would be of those particular properties, and then offer them a certain percentage back from that, to where a wholesaler, to where somebody, a purchaser could come in, or investor could come in and buy that property at the wholesale price, and then you just make the spread on that, right? And so that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
require any capital up front.
Mm-hmm.
You can get into that and find your wholesaler that will turn around and buy the property. Then you just make your spread off of it.
Wow.
So that's definitely something that people should look into if they have nothing else going on, right? But then the problem that most people will make is that they make ten to $30,000 on a wholesale, and then they turn around and they spend it, right? And so, I mean, if you really want traction, then you gotta stop spending, right? And you gotta be able to hold on to some of that money to where you can invest in some of these other properties, other deals, right? And so that once you do a wholesale, that deal's done. Now you've got to do it again, and you got to do it again, and you got to do it again. And yes, you can make $10,000 to $50,000, per wholesale, but that means you have to keep on doing that. That's a lot of activity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
at some point, what you want to do is you want to take some of that money and you want to invest it in, a syndication with a larger property. And
Okay.
so what this does is allows you to jump in as a limited partner. So you actually own title to the property. You
Yeah.
get all the tax benefits from the property, but
Yeah.
you have none of the management side of things. And what this does is it allows you to kind of see how a syndication can run,
Mm-hmm.
from a limited partner standpoint, while also getting cash flow, right? So now your cash is at work for you without you having to do anything, right? And so then you can continue to do the flips or the wholesales, and then continue to do that, and just keep on finding different partnerships to go into. And if at some point you go, you know what, I really want to know, how do I put together a syndication, right? Then that's also a great avenue where you go, listen, I want to be a limited partner in your deal, but I also want to know what you're doing on the general partner side. And how do you put together a syndication? What do you guys do? What are the steps? And a lot of times what you can do, and I would highly recommend this to anybody, is if you're getting into a syndication as a limited partner, talk to the person who's a GP and say, listen, I'll get into your deal, but I want to know, what you guys are doing on the other side of that. And a lot of times they'll be open to that. They'll invite you into meetings, as long as you're not. It's just listening into different meetings and stuff like that, because you don't really have a say in that, but you get to see how things operate, right?
I
And
see.
you get that information and that education, but you're not really paying for that education. You're invested, right? You own the property, right? So get asking for that inside track only helps you decide whether or not you want to do a general partner and syndicate your own deals and all that too, or whether you just want to continue to be a limited partner. I mean, honestly, if I just have cash flow coming in, right, I'd much rather just turn around and hand it to somebody else that has that I trust that can just make me money, right? I
Of
mean,
course.
but not we don't always have cash flow coming in, right? And so it's a position that we're all kind of struggling with and trying to figure out, well, how do we get that extra cash flow coming in, right? And so one of the things that I've liked and I've just jumped into was just doing the whole general partner side. And I can tell you it's a lot of work. I mean, in the last 2 weeks, we went from letter of intent to purchase and sale agreement. During the purchase and sale agreement, I had to get an attorney to be able to review the purchase and sale agreement, and then realize that like there was things that I didn't negotiate during LOI that I could have negotiated. And now we're in purchase and sale agreement. Now this is I can ask for it, but now the sellers are going to start going, okay, well, did we pick the right person, right? And if there's no signed purchase and sale agreement, they're not required to sell it to me. Even though they've accepted my LOI, the only time they have to sell it to me is once they sign the PSA. And so most of your negotiations, almost all your
PSA?
negotiations happen on LOI,
Letter
letter
of
of intent,
intent, PSI,
yeah.
PSA?
PSA, purchase and sale agreement.
I was like, public service announcement? Like, this can't be right.
Probably not.
Probably not.
It
Purchase,
sounded good
sale.
though.
Yeah.
Purchase and sale agreement. So when you find a property and the numbers make sense, what you do is you fill out a letter of intent.
Okay.
And quick hack for anybody that wants to know, you just go into ChatGPT and ask it to create a letter of intent for
Oh,
you,
wow. That
right?
easy.
And you can even ask what kind of things should I put into a letter of intent, and it'll list out all the stuff you should be putting into a letter of intent, right? And so there's a lot you can do with ChatGPT now that does. I mean, I drafted my own through Word and used different examples that I have found and looked at some of the terms. But now that I've gone through and done a couple of these, I know. And even this last time, I missed something. Like it having it's like so I negotiated for 30 days worth of due diligence and then 30 days to close, so 60 days total. Originally, I'd asked for 45 days of due diligence, and they were like, well, no, 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 no. But what I should have done is I should have asked, okay, well, the 30 days is fine, but let's say we get to the end of the 30 days, I'd like a contingency. I'd like to be able to ask for another 15 days and just be able to get it. The intent is 30 days, but the contingency is there for me to be able to
Mm,
get 15 days without having to have a whole bunch of okays, right? And so those are the things that I could have negotiated during the letter of intent. But once
mm.
you're in the purchase and sale agreement, that's not the right place to be able to do that anymore,
Oh,
right?
really?
And so that was one of the things I learned this last time around, right? And every time you do a deal, there's always something that you're learning. There's always something that you're figuring out, some new way to do something. And I'm sure, like at Grant's level, 30 years later, I mean, there's probably very few things that he, but he figures out how to negotiate, right? And
Yeah.
then like he even talks about it in some of his deals as he's going along. You can tell at the end of the deal whether or not you left money on the table or not. And that's the kind of things that he's thinking about. Okay, well, had I said this a little bit sooner, or had I pushed him a little bit further, could I have gotten an extra $200,000 off, right? And
Wow.
that's the kind of stuff that he's thinking about, right? Whereas I'm going, okay, well, what if I need more than 30 days of due diligence, right? Like, did I screw myself?
So funny. He's already way past that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right. But I mean, everybody starts out at their own level, right? And the important thing is that whether I have 30 days or 45 days, it's really inconsequential. I'm almost all the way done with my due diligence now, and we're
Mhm.
only 10 days in, right? And so so I'm able to use my time wisely there. But the idea is that you have this space to be able to do these things, right? So now that we're in the purchase and sale agreement, I've gone out and done due diligence. Now I'm at a point where I go, okay, well the roofs, even though they were replaced recently, they're not in great shape. They need to
Mm,
be redone because they were done on the cheap the first time, and that's not really my responsibility, right? That's something that the previous ownership decided to do. That was their decision. They've gotten 10 years of life out of them, and they've had to patch them the entire time, and they were okay with that.
mhm,
But that's not something that I want to take on because that's not really my deferred maintenance, right? It
mm.
will be when I buy it. And
Yeah.
so now I have an opportunity to go, well, listen, when we did this, you told me the roofs were relatively new and
Mhm,
there's no work that need to be done on. But now I'm finding out that I've gotten professional quotes and actual roofers out here, and they're like, yeah, these are going to be an issue. And
mm.
so this is where getting into this deal now is like, okay, well, now we've got some more leverage and could possibly go in and negotiate either. splitting the cost with them or figuring out if they can put money into an escrow or something like that to be able to pay for the roofs after we close, right? So
Mm.
that I'm not just asking them for money off and they don't know whether or not I'm just asking just to ask and I'm going to keep those roofs on for the next 10 years and then do something about it, right? My intent is that we do something now. If it needs to be done, let's just do it, right? And so let's put the money away in an escrow. If I don't use it in the first 6 months,
Hmm.
then you guys get it back, right? And so these will probably be some of the things that I'll have discussions with my broker here going forward in the next couple weeks. But yeah, that's what we're doing right now.
That's cool, man. I like this. And so, like, what would you say is the easiest way for someone to get into wholesaling if they wanted to? Because nobody needs a license to do wholesaling.
Technically, some states do require
Oh, really?
licenses.
Okay.
Yeah, I did not know that. So in Washington, where I'm at, it does not require a license. And I don't think California, Arizona, Idaho,
Hmm.
or Oregon need licenses either. But I met a gentleman from Illinois,
Hmm.
and Illinois does require a
Really?
license. So you
Okay.
can do your first one, and it's not a big deal. But if you do more than one,
Mm.
then now you start having to have a license.
Mm.
Yeah, so I have no idea state to state what that requirement is,
Hmm.
but definitely if you're going to get into it, that would be the first place to start is ask ChatGPT, do I need a license to do wholesales, and
Mm.
how many deals can I do without a license or those those different things, right?
Yeah.
Um, but getting started in that,
Hmm.
there's a couple different things. One of the apps that I use is Property Radar.
Okay.
Property Radar gives you a list of different foreclosures
Oh,
and
wow.
notice of default
Okay.
and notice transfer sales, no, notice of trustee sale. So these are different stages in the foreclosure area, and so getting those lists is good. Another one that I use is let's see, yeah, Property Radar, um, Deal Machine. So Deal Machine is another one that I use. Deal Machine allows me to kind of drive around, and it tracks my drive as I'm driving around. And so this is where I go around and I look for houses that may be in distress. That now I have no idea whether or not they're like super distressed or not, but pretty sure. Just make sure.
Is
Yeah,
this
no,
the
this
right
is
one?
right.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the right one. Deal Machine. Yep. So with Deal Machine, it allows you to click on the houses as you're going by them, right?
Okay.
So you start a drive and you're driving around, and then you just click click the address, and then it just tells you, okay, well this it gives you all the information about that address, and you can add it to a list.
Hmm.
And then when you're all done driving, then you have a list, and a lot of times it has information on it, maybe has people's phone numbers or email addresses.
Hmm.
Sometimes the information is correct, sometimes the information is not.
Hmm.
And so these are also other tools to be able to do that. But Property Radar seems to be very, very accurate for the county recording information, and it happens very, very quickly on their site. Whereas Deal Machine, the information isn't quite as accurate when it comes to like foreclosures and things like that. But the
Hmm.
ability to drive around and just pick a house as you're right next to it
Hmm.
to see what's going on, then you can take pictures of it and add it to your Deal Machine and all that kind of stuff. To where you can add notes in there and tags and things like that.
Huh.
So then you really start building a database of places you want to do that. So then you could either send out mailers to those or you can make calls to those people. And so, yeah, those are great tools that I personally use
Hmm.
um, to be able to do stuff. So,
That's cool, man. Wow. So this is the way you do wholesaling is with mainly this website, it sounds like.
yeah, Deal Machine and Property Radar. So Property Radar allows me to look for foreclosures. And that's the one that I like for being able to do that. And then I can create a list, and then I can actually organize the list based off of a specific area, see how they're actually tracing out shapes, and
Hmm.
you can see what the information is on those. So you can filter for things that are all kinds of like they could be landlord, or it could be owner occupied. You can search for notice of default only and not just notice a trustee sale. So the difference there is a notice of default means your bank has told you that you're in default,
Hmm.
and they've actually officially registered this with the county.
Okay.
Notice of transfer sale means that you've gone through this period and now you actually have a sale date for your foreclosure. And
Hmm.
so being able to identify between those, you can also look for apps for like multifamily if you wanted to too. People have that are having problems with their loans on multifamily as well.
Yep.
So that's another thing that I use it for is looking for deals that may be great for multifamily as well. So
Mhm.
it's a little bit harder with some of the multifamily stuff because then you got to really do get into skip tracing and then there's other services for that to do that.
Mm. Wow. Wow. So you're working your full-time job, then you're coming home and doing this.
Yeah, and looking for multifamily through the brokers, calling brokers, scheduling the due diligence for the property that I've got right now, finding partners, trying to raise capital for the deals that I do have. Yeah, there's a lot that goes on, right? And maybe I've got too much going on. I don't know. We'll see a year from now, right?
Sounds good. Sounds good. That's pretty wild, man. Thanks for sharing all this. I have a fascination with wholesaling, so it's cool that you do it.
Yeah. Wholesaling's cool, especially if you have a group of buyers. That's the other side of thing is you have to have a group of buyers. So I do have a support group for that. So New Wealth Advisors Club is who I'm tied into, and they have an entire group of investors that are either actively going out and finding wholesale deals or they're just looking for deals to be able to invest in to where they can either do them as rentals or they can fix and flip and things like that. And so when I do find wholesale opportunities, it's usually pretty easy to find buyers as well because of the groups that I'm in.
Wow. Wow. And is this something that you'd welcome other people into if they wanted to just try it out, or is it kind of
Oh yeah, yeah. I could probably send you a link to have people go and check it out and all that kind of stuff. They do have an annual subscription to be able to join their club, of course, just like everybody does. And then they have different tiers and stuff like that to if you wanted extra support, like lots of extra support, like somebody holding your hand and walking you through it, then they can do that kind of stuff too. But all that stuff costs more money.
right?
But if you just have the membership with them, then that's actually relatively expensive to be able to do that. And
Yep.
then you have access to everybody that's in it. So
Nice. That's awesome. Sweet, man. Well, this absolutely made my day.
we're right on. I'm glad
Cool.
that I had some value to bring to you and
Oh,
all your viewers. So.
yeah. Yeah. I think this is great. And I think a lot of people will appreciate this as well.
Yeah, and I don't mind helping out people either. If anybody like I told Vinny, because he actually reached out to me through LinkedIn and we had a very long conversation,
Hmm.
and I'm just I'm an open book. I'll help you with whatever you got going on. I'll walk you through things. If you have questions, you're more than welcome to ask me questions. This is part of the whole thing, right? It's for us to kind of grow together and to build this together. And so you can't do this alone. I mean, you can try, but it's a lot more fun if you do it with friends.
Sure. I
So,
can get that. Cool. I like it, man. Awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate your time and I'm glad we get to do another one of these. This has been awesome.
yeah, this is a lot of fun.
Cool. Awesome, guys. And Lucas, you wanted them to reach out to you over on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yeah,
Perfect.
just reach out to me LinkedIn. Just connect to me and or not. And if you're not able to reach out and actually send me a message and just connect, I accept connections. So,
Cool. That's awesome, man. Well, I'm glad you're here and thanks for your time.
all right, awesome. Thank you, Elon. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
you're welcome.